I heard Discovery Zone's got this excellent new Men in Black laser adventure. Save the Earth from the slime of the universe, and they'll make you an honorary MIB agent. There's this video wall, and birthdays are blasted DZ. They're almost everywhere. Are you ready for the new DZ?
Will get cancer in the butthole. It'll burn and burn and burn. They won't be able to sit down because of the burning in their butthole. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole. God's going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. You're going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. If you thought that AIDS was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet.
You know, might go off, or I don't know, what kind of practical jokes do you play?
Well, with my new chemistry set, thanks to Brie Larson, I do like to make stink bombs.
こんにちは。ボンバットファミリーと私たちのライブ放送へようこそ。私たちはあなたの視聴とリスニングの喜びのための素晴らしいショーを持っています。今、あなたのホスト、スコッティ・ジェイロとジェリー・ケーブルに、Stay Bombad を楽しんで覚えておいてください。
Welcome to the Bombadcast.
What's going on, Bombad fam? We might have some new viewers tonight. I just got back from back to school night. Sorry it's so late. Got my icy shirt on. I did not wear this to back to school night. I was more professional dress. But that being said, super happy to have all of you here. We have a very splendid episode. As you know, some things. What's going on, Mr. Mud 183? I like that name. That's Bombad. Thank you. Stay Bombad always. But yeah, you know, I just got back from my work, back to school night. We may have some new viewers in here because I met a bunch of parents, which is always exciting. Jerry, be on your best behavior, please. I even warned them. I'm not even kidding. I said, look, I usually don't stray off the beaten path. I'm pretty straightforward. I kind of like I am how I am at school, but you know, on the stream, my co-host, not so much. I can't stop his. There we go. You can't stop that untethered energy that Jerry brings. But
That's wildly inappropriate.
if it's your first time joining, welcome to the Bombadcast. We do this every Thursday, and we plan on doing some more, obviously, in the near future with Andor and all this wonderful stuff coming out. No, you cannot. Don't ask again. That being said, I'm very happy for you to join us, obviously. We're lucky to have fans like y'all to be here. And of course, if you don't know this, obviously the Bombadcast does also have a Patreon, $7 a month, or you can set your own price. I've got students, I've got friends of mine that have joined. And of course, a lot of our devoted Bombadcast fans also are joining, which I very much appreciate. Now, some of these perks, and I put a message in there earlier. It's been kind of hard to fulfill a couple of these things because we've got Podathon going on and school starting up, but I can guarantee you Podathon will be worth it. If you are unsatisfied with Patreon, you can always let us know. Couple exclusive shows on Patreon. We've got a show that I'm actually going to bring back this weekend at some point. Not bring back, but kind of add more to The Greatest Teacher. Joseph Campbell, it's a Patreon exclusive. I talk about Joseph Campbell, his teachings, and I rant for about an hour. Jerry also does something very similar, the Canon Junkie Corner, where he reads a chapter of a certain novel and he kind of reflects on it and talks about it and maybe even reads a little into it as well. But Gerry also has a wonderful show called Hyperfocus, and I'll let him plug that in a moment, which is a show where he brings on someone in the Star Wars or the podcast creating community, and they actually, kind of say more of their other passions besides just Star Wars alone. So very fun show. And I also do a show called Bombad Gaming. We do a lot here. Wednesday nights, I play video games. I played some Super Smash Bros. Last night. I will continue to play that into next week. It is at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, for me, school comes back, which is very, very exciting. Looking forward to this new school year, my 4th year teaching. And I need to bring Gerry in. That was a lot. I said that very quickly, very, very little breaks. And I do want to bring Gerry in, but we got to talk about Podathon because our boy Alden Diaz, one of the greatest people alive. That being said, let's bring him in. The one, the only canon junkie, Gerry Cable.
Gerry!
That's right. I'm here. I'm untethered. I'm ready to make Scotty's students' parents sweat. It's great. I'm just going to go ahead and start right off by saying testicles. How's it going, guys? It's great to be here. So hold on. Untethered Gerry, totally the title of my DIY punk project.
Oh, that's amazing. I love this. Gerry is stuck to the toilet. That's right.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, no, Boop. No. Always trying to blame it on me. Trying to blame it on me.
Uncle Bombad. That's amazing. I love that. Uncle Bombad. That makes sense. That fits. Let's be real. Preston said no. We also got Sweat.
Yeah, sweat.
John is John. I met John at Winn-Dixie, which is exciting. That being said, I love this so much. Connor, we love you. We're excited for the conversation.
We love you so much. You're so neat.
Connor, not Connor. I mean, I'm gonna say Gerry.
Gerry. It's me. I
know. Gerry.
Yes,
Can we play a video that highlights something we're very excited for? We do have Podathon coming up September 17th. We're working on a guest right now. Gerry and I have been in talks with a certain guest, which is very exciting to me. We don't know if it's going to end up happening. I'm going to email them again tomorrow, but we got some things in the works, so it should be cool.
I don't want to hype anybody up or anything, but let's just say, the guy might have created Star Wars.
Yes. In some extent.
Like back in 1976, anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. That being said, I want to play a clip for those that don't know. Podathon is a charity event that Bombadcast, Podcast of the Wills, and Around the Galaxy puts on through our channels, and it's a stream that benefits Make-A-Wish. And obviously, Gerry and I hosted parts of it last year and the year before, and it's something that we started 3 years ago. And so we felt that it was a third year. We had to take it to a more legitimate level. For those that do not know or are not aware or do not follow anyone on social media and want to be aware, we have a huge guest joining us on our pages this year that Alden conducted an interview for Octo Radio, and that is the one and only. I'll let it speak for itself.
Hey, this is Ryan Johnson. Join us for Podathon 2022. It benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's on September 17th. I'm going to be on there with Octo Radio at 8 p.m. And you can donate now at thepodathon.com. Do it.
Yeah. See? Exactly.
You will click the donation link now.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be clipped out and dropped everywhere. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yes, that's right. We are shilling like villains. It's great. It's very great. Scotty, speaking of Alden Diaz, real quick, if I may.
Yeah.
I may.
Oh, yeah. Wait, can I say one thing real quick?
Please do. Please
Ryan
finish
Johnson, director of The Last Jedi, is going to be on, is going to be on Podathon. Get hyped. I've heard the interview, Gerry. Have you listened to it yet? I'm just curious.
I've listened to about half.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
We're privileged to have it because we're producing the event. Not many people have heard it, and I can truly guarantee you it's one of the best interviews with that man that I've ever heard. And I mean that sincerely because I love Alden, but I also mean it because they talk about things that Ryan does not normally talk about. So the interview is unreal. I don't know if Boop's read it. That would be awesome if Boop's heard it. So it is going to be written about in probably big outlets. I'm just going to say it's that good. Mm-hmm. That being said, Gerry, you've got something coming up. What's going on?
Well, speaking of our good friend of the show, IRL friend, as the kids say. Alden Diaz is going to be my guest on Hyperfocus this Saturday, right there. It's actually his return because we're kind of doing a redo with him for reasons that shall not be specified.
Look at that.
The return
That's a good graphic.
I could not help myself from doing this because Alden sent me the pic of the selfie of us, like, hey, maybe use this if you want to, and we looked like Force ghosts. So I'm like, I'm gonna make a freaking poster.
I like that.
So that's kind of back to my old school, my roots.
Yeah.
If you remember back in the day, back when Bombad first started, we had some crazy.
He was the graphic designer
stuff. Yes,
he was the graphic designer, and
there was no set. It was just all. It was all there. It was all it.
Yep, it's true, 100%. And
Yes.
Gerry, I'm very excited to listen to that. Obviously,
to talk to him.
School starts next week for me. Things go back to normal. Katie starts her law school next week, so like it's
oh wow,
yeah, I know. So it's gonna be nice to have that
So proud of
that
Katie.
like Saturday to do stuff. But I always catch Hyperfocus in the Rewind. You should too. It is every other Saturday. So obviously this Saturday you got Alden on, who's a great guest. And Alden may be one of my favorite people to like, and I've done it before. I've like called him on the phone and we just let our minds do the talking. Like we don't even, know we're going with it. It's beautiful. But hopefully the same thing happens for Hyperfocus.
We haven't even picked a topic or anything. And
There we
also,
go.
again,
That works,
the whole
though.
thing about Hyperfocus is you guys can like hit the link and join at the end of the show, kind of
That's right.
talk with like kind of call in and everything. So hypothetically call in. But anyway, it's gonna be a fun time.
Super pumped. What we have for you, and obviously, we know an Andor trailer came out. We'll do some more coverage on that soon. Gerry and I are actually gonna have a creative meeting this evening when we play our pre-recorded interview with the wonderful Adam Christopher. So
always produced during the show.
I want to play this clip first. So before we even play the whole interview for you, we kind of did an icebreaker thing before the interview started, and we just talked about how we're going to play a Tamora Morrison video, and I'll play just a brief second of it. It is this video right here. Okay, so great video. And
Fantastic.
We saw Adam Christopher perk up, like in as he like sat up, and it's like, what is this? And so we asked him a few things. You'll find out in the interview, but he told us about this right here. This is going to be a new Bombad clip forever.
Oh, this is brand
It's
spanking new.
Freaking hilarious.
It's so Bombad.
It is so Bombad. You ready? Here we go. This is a soap opera Tamora Morrison was in.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata. And he says this. So this will make more sense. I'm gonna play it again. Remember what he says here.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
It's so sassy. I love it.
So good.
It'll make sense in a moment when you watch it again. I'll play it one more time.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
Because we were dying laughing when we found the clip. We found it after the interview was done. So,
right. We were all three of us were just like kind of like losing our shit together. It was
we were literally just sitting there hanging out talking about it. But that being said, I know a lot of people here have read Shadows of the Sith. And I will say this is a spoilers discussion because we're talking about it with the author. So it's super cool.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't think he's gotten to talk spoilers on a lot of shows in the press thing. So I don't even know if he's talked spoilers on another show. Like
I don't think so.
We might be like exclusive spoilers with Adam Christopher.
His thought process too, as to why he wrote certain things. It's a great interview.
So interesting.
Oh my God. It's so interesting. It's about an hour and 15. So we're not going to stick around that much after the show. We'll talk about Padawan for a second. Maybe we'll talk about Andor. But by the end of it, we might have a schedule for the coming months. So that being said, Gerry, do you have anything you want to say before this interview actually begins?
Taint.
This is
Untethered.
The new bit. This is the
Untethered.
new bit. Oh, this is the new bit. I love it.
Untethered.
Untethered. Show it to us. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. He's like he's not a tetherball, you know? He is untethered. That being said, I'm gonna get the clip pulled up. Y'all enjoy this interview. We will be in the comments. We'll also be talking about creative things. And of course, patrons, what you heard on the actual what you saw in the Patreon post today. Think about what you want, Bombad to do in the next coming months. But that being said, we're gonna get that thing pulled up and y'all should be good to go. Let me get a video file shared. But
Go Bombad babies.
it's a fun interview. Y'all really gonna enjoy it. It's actually an hour and 2 minutes, so it's not that long. Here we go.
Yeah. You'll be able to be in. It's a school night.
It's a school night. So we're gonna bounce out. We'll be in the comments, and him and I are gonna talk on the phone. And y'all stay Bombad.
Whoop.
I love that we prepped Adam for all of that, and we didn't even mention it's going to be a weird clip. He was always saying, "What the hell is that, Tamora Morrison?"
Welcome to the Bombadcast, Adam. Yeah, we play. Listen, that's actually a clip from Jango Fett had a short-lived show where he traveled across the galaxy eating at multiple diners and different things. It was very great. He had his own like rating system. It was based on Mandalorian something or whatever. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
it was
great.
weird.
It's great.
It's very lore heavy. That being said, I'm super happy to say that Adam Christopher is now with us today. We were going to be talking about Shadows of the Sith and a couple of his other novels, but that being said, this is going to be a fun Bombadcast. It's actually, we haven't done an interview with what I would consider a well-known guest in a minute, right? And
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's also been a while, and it's morning here for us. It's been a while since I've actually had coffee on the show. And look, I'm even official. I've got our faces on the mug and everything because we are attention horse and stuff like that.
We are, and that's completely fine.
It's all about the branding. It's fine.
And what's funny? This is gonna make it seem even more. Yeah, no, this is gonna seem even more like a Tamora Morrison show when it's clearly not. Let's bring in our guest, the New York Times bestselling author, Adam Christopher.
Hey, mate, who invited you here?
There he is.
What's up, Adam?
Tamora Morrison, Jay Lagaya. Come on.
Yeah.
See, if I'm not mistaken. Weren't you born in New Zealand too?
I sure was.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You get to see any of that in its heyday?
Yeah.
That whole thing, that whole episode is fantastic.
Yes. I worked in a bookstore and I served Tamora Morrison. He was buying newspapers.
No,
it was
way.
1997.
No way. What was that like? That's incredible.
Well, he was a big soap star. There's a soap opera called Shortland Street. He played a doctor, Dr. Ropata, and he was really famous. So when Attack of the Clones was on in the movies in New Zealand, like the audiences were cracking up because this is Dr. Ropata from Shortland Street on the big screen. So this is pre-internet, pre-memes,
right?
But there was stuff. There's lines from Shortland Street, like "You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata," and like people were. You'll find that on YouTube, but people were like yelling it at the screen.
No way.
Yeah. So it was kind of. I think that film landed differently for New Zealanders, and it still does.
I bet. Yeah. It's funny. We discussed.
You just discovered some Patreon content for us, then, Adam. Just there, like we're our viewers are going to want us to watch that now.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like Tim is one of those guys. At least we were at Celebration. We saw. At least I was there.
He was on stage a few times.
Yeah, when he did his Haka, and when he did the Attack of the Clones panel, it was beautiful, right? But it's so funny. He's so like, he's just so like. Like he's like he carries himself so prideful, and like you look at him, you're like he is a movie star. He is 100% that person. And I couldn't imagine like having like buying newspapers from you. What was that even like? That's insane.
Because the other thing with New Zealanders is because like New Zealand is quite small and we all pretend that we know each other. And whenever there's a New Zealand connection, we kind of feel this. I don't know what it is. There's something. So there's like, Taika Waititi, director, writer.
Right.
Tamora Morrison, Daniel Logan, who played the young Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Jay Lagaya, who is, I think, is it Captain Typho?
Yep.
Yeah. Baz, and I can't remember his surname. It's like Iodine.
Yeah.
He's a cinematographer, New
Yeah.
Zealander. So we all kind of, when there's this kind of Star Wars connection between New Zealanders, it's like we're all the same kind of family. And I really wish I'd got a photo with Timura at Celebration. And I could have said, do you remember 1997? You bought an issue of Mana magazine and a newspaper from Wickles, Queen Street, Auckland. It was about 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember? And it was me. And look, here we are. You're Boba Fett, and I'm a New York Times best-selling Star Wars author. So
yeah,
something happened. Yeah,
we made
something there. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. So that's what we're. That's going to be our new push as the Bombadcast is to get a picture of you and him. And like, honestly, we need to have that happen. You need to tell him like you used to buy newspapers from me. Like I won't. That's my new goal.
Yeah. Okay. This is it.
So, this is it. We've made it.
Yeah.
That is
hilarious. It's going to happen.
Before you know it, you're gonna write a Boba Fett or a Django novel, and it's gonna be incredible. And we're gonna be like,
it would just be short on street jokes.
Right.
It would just be, you're not in Guatemala now, Boba Fett.
You have intrigued me so much. Like I have to watch this now. Like that
clip in particular, you will find it on YouTube. It's like 5 seconds.
That might.
But you can imagine an entire cinema audience yelling that at the screen of Attack of the Clones.
God, that's
incredible.
Amazing.
That is an incredible moment.
Oh well, before we air this interview, we're gonna find the clip, edit it into our little catalog, and it'll be shown. It'll be shown. That's incredible.
We'll have to wait till after the interview plays, but then we'll be like, all right, here you go. But anyway,
what you've all been waiting for
as well is what you're finding out, Adam. We produce on like this isn't live. We produce like on the show. That's what we do.
In the moment. Well, Adam. Okay, so. With all that being said, one of the things that we discussed, obviously, and something that I talked about on Bombadcast for 3 years now, is the concept of best, favorite, most fun. Now, if you're a first-time listener, a first-time viewer of the Bombadcast, what this question kind of entails is for you to take your favorite Star Wars anythings or what you consider to be the best Star Wars or the most fun Star Wars and kind of not categorize them, but think about them a little bit differently, to me, you watch a Star Wars and it's not always just this is it, and it may be for some people. People have a real attachment to Empire, but I watch Empire and I wouldn't say Empire is the most fun Star Wars movie. It's a little heavy, it's a little dark. So to give mine real quick, just to let our guests have a second to think about his, and I'll bring Gerry in after this. At this point in my life, I think for me personally, the best Star Wars I still think The Last Jedi is just a phenomenal movie in every way, and it still does a lot for me on a personal level. My favorite still, it's not going to be a surprise to most people. It's the Phantom Menace because it's the one that I'm just the most attached to, and I still think the most fun. And we can go into our reasons, and I'm sure Adam can as well. Most fun for me personally is going to be Solo. I love Solo. But yeah, those are all special movies to me. Gerry, if you don't mind, can we hear some of yours?
Yeah, and again, mine I feel like changes every time we're on and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, frankly, what I've loved about these questions is they've evolved ever since we've been doing the show from like people would just give their best favorite, most fun movies to now people are giving us just like moments and like books, comics, whatever, and everything. But I'd have to say. Best is probably for me. I'm gonna have to go Last Jedi with you as well because I just think that's a well-made film. It's every facet of it. The cinematography, the writing, the directing to me is superb. My favorite right now might be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Frankly, because that did so much. Man. Best most what is fun. I did best favorite, now it's most fun. Mm-hmm. The most fun still is I'm probably gonna have to I'm probably gonna end up going
Shadows
Solo
of the Sith
as well. Shadows of the Sith frankly might be okay, so this is how I've described Shadow of the Sith, Adam, to the people. Like my family's actually visiting on recording right now. They're actually in the next room. So hi, family, listening to us do this. I'm just kidding. They don't have a cup on the door or anything. But the way I described it, and I've been describing this to people, is it is the most important to me canon novel that's come out since the Disney acquisition. In my not to build you up. I don't want to build you up too much and everything, but no, honestly, for real, it is one of the best ones. It's one of the most to me. It gave the most important information. A lot of information people have been waiting for to come out. But anyway.
We'll get
So
to that
it's probably
in a second.
it's definitely in my it's you know what, I'm gonna set it right next to Last Jedi, right in there,
the best.
So
damn.
as best because it's the best book for me right now. So
Oh man,
Never thought you'd hear that, Adam. Yeah, right up there.
take
in
it.
terms of
that's
like-
genuine. I'm not just trying to stroke your ego or anything. I promise. Since you're on the show, you're right here. You
Jerry-
can do anything. I'll go on Twitter and say this too.
Please do.
I'll go shout it from my balcony here in a sec. Yeah. Oh, I will. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Adam, if you're ready, I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
wanting to hear your answers.
We are so excited. Yes, please.
What are we starting with?
You tell the best
whichever
is
you want.
the best.
Best-
I think that's usually the one we kick it off with.
The best.
Best, favorite, most fun.
It's interesting. Like the best, I still think is A New Hope, but it's one of those interesting things because I think because it's the best because it's the only Star Wars movie that really fulfills all the
Oh yeah.
promises that George Lucas had. And I mean that by not in terms of the ongoing Star Wars mythology, but the fact that it is this amazing mashup of science fiction, space opera, fantasy, western, samurai movie, war movie, swashbuckling pulp adventure. It's kind of, it has all of that stuff that he loved and he wanted to do, Flash Gordon and the samurai movies and all that kind of stuff all mashed together. And it really works. And because of that, we have Star Wars. So maybe it's not the best production values, maybe it's not the actual best story, but somehow it's still there for me as best.
Right.
It fulfills all those brackets, and I agree. Like, you wouldn't have Star Wars if you didn't have what that movie set up, not just story wise, but like you said, mythology wise, and what could come before that. I completely agree. That is that. Yeah. And I think for most people, that is what they would call the best too.
Well, like it's the spark that started the fire that will destroy the. Never mind. I'm not going to quote something right now, but it is this. Technically, it's the spark that started all of this raging fire of love, devotion. Sometimes rage. But we won't talk as much about that. But no, even I've been watching Light and Magic and everything too. I'm sure we all have. Like, it's so interesting if you like. The story of how Star Wars came to be and like the period of filmmaking before that, like nothing had ever been done like that before. Yeah. And so it was a world and everything. And just even it makes you appreciate it even more. And even though like I think it looks fantastic for what it is still, I mean, you look at other movies that came out at the same year that were doing special effects. There was a movie that tried to capitalize on the hope that came out after Return of the Jedi. I think I've showed you, Scotty. They did it on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh yeah.
With David Hasselhoff, and it came out like in the late 80s. And again, they didn't have the budget of Star Wars, but it still holds up.
There's a famous one too.
Fantastic.
Kiss did a movie called the Phantasm of the Park or something, Phantom of the Park, and literally it's horrible because they were Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons were told it's gonna be like Star Wars, but it's gonna be better and it's gonna be like in a theme park, right? And it's bad. Everyone loved it. Everyone hyped it. And that is a great answer, Adam, because the legacy and the I guess impact, like you said, Jerry, even behind the scenes is still felt to this day. It's
there's iconic things like I've got this sticker right here, that's just a targeting computer. It doesn't say anything like it, but it's instantly recognizable.
Instantly.
Like,
beautiful
so
answer, Adam.
From there. Yes.
Beautiful answer. So what you could be your favorite though, because this is a weird one, and that could be the same. It's fine if it's the same. By the way, they can. I think. Be different.
I think my favorite is actually Phantom Menace. Yeah, because. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Because Phantom Menace, like I'm old enough. I'm original trilogy fan.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Right.
And then I remember lining up for the re-release of Star Wars in 1997, so special editions. And like I was in the line for like 2 hours to get tickets for that. But then I remember Phantom Menace, which was later, This was new. This is the first new Star Wars that I can remember properly. Like, because I grew up as a kid watching the original trilogy on VHS mostly.
Yeah.
So it was new Star Wars, and like that movie remains the one that I've seen the most at the movies. I think 9 or 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And mostly, I think, like by the time you get to like 7 and 8 times, I was mainly there for the duel at the end. You know, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember, again, this is the old days, so pre-internet, really pre-organized cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it on the first opening night, but then as the days went on, more and more people started turning up in costume, with gear.
Yeah.
Because it was growing. People were talking about it, and fans were coming out and dressing up to go to the movies to see Phantom Menace. So I can still remember it. I literally remember the theater and sitting and watching the duel at the end. On maybe, I don't know if that was number, 10 or 11.
Yeah. No, wait. What age are you, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm 44. So I was 19.
God,
No,
that's a
no, 21.
Well, because you finally have enough money, as a
to have disposable income to go see it that many times. I was 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I was 5.
No, I was and like so I'd seen like I said, Star Wars Special Edition, which was amazing because that was like wow, this is like new.
Got them right back there.
Yeah,
the 95s.
And then 99 Phantom Menace.
So awesome.
Phantom Menace is
So
like
incredible.
it's good. Yeah, I love it.
It's funny. It's like it used to be the black sheep of the bunch. I would say even up until like 4 years ago.
You still hear little rumblings. Like sometimes people will put it in a snarky article. Sometimes surprisingly, but
yeah, it's like they haven't watched it in 10 years probably. It's
that's
like,
the point.
Watch it on Disney Plus in 4K. It looks amazing. And the whole prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy feels like Star Wars. Like it feels different to the original trilogy, which is good because the original trilogy has a certain kind of thing. But then this has its own cohesive feeling and atmosphere and look. But it's really, to me, it's like super Star Wars.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've said it before on a show, and I think it's important to say it here again. I've always said the Phantom Menace might be the most pure Star Wars movie, but in the sense of like Rick McCallum never said no to George Lucas. And this is before any fans were like, Jar Jar sucks or Jake Lloyd sucks. I mean, it really was. So like and obviously Fox kind of had more of a stranglehold on George, even during Return of the Jedi, Empire, and A New Hope. This is the first time it was all funded by George, and he could do literally whatever he wanted. It's almost like a cathartic movie because like it's hard to believe that it even exists in that aspect. And I'm sure Light and Magic gets into that. I actually haven't gotten that far into the docuseries, but
you're lucky that George got to this point. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. It's Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah.
and Natalie Portman. It's like you can't get better people to be in your Star Wars movie.
Ever.
No. It's so brilliantly cast. Like everything from Jake Lloyd to, I mean, even Samuel Jackson, like it's all
How on earth did you get Samuel L. Jackson to be a Jedi? Yeah.
And I'll just say I was a fan of the Yoda puppet a little bit. Like, look, I know he looks a little like Bernie Sanders. It's fine, whatever. But anyway.
Well, this leads us into our last one before we get into our big discussion. What would you say is the most fun?
Most fun. I've got two answers. I think Rebels.
Rebels.
I think before, like Rebels when it got going, took a couple of seasons to get going, but it became like the best Star Wars TV show before we had Star Wars TV shows. It was like all the promises of live action Star Wars as a TV thing, which we are amazing that we have it now. Were kind of like just dreams, and this became this amazing Star Wars journey. But and like the later seasons is like real fun. But my other answer is actually it's bits and pieces of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi is amazing. I loved it, and it's quite dark and quite scary. So it's not really fun. that has funny bits in it. But somehow Darth Vader is fun in that, and I mean that in that it's the first time that really I had this connection between Hayden Christensen as Anakin and Darth Vader, because to me they were sort of always different characters, just by the nature of how it's portrayed. But that was the first time they really kind of meshed it together, and the I don't know if you call this fun. This is a strange definition of fun, but like the fight between Vader and Reva, when like it's a lightsaber battle when he's not even using his lightsaber, was just like, what am I watching? What is going on?
Right.
It's kind of like it's fun in a weird like this is fun. You know,
playing with those toys, like you're saying, like you know, like that were created in 1977. It's it's fun. You know, what if he didn't use his lightsaber yet? You know,
literally, it was just like, and she was trying to kill him, and he's just like, step aside, use the force, put my hand up. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It was like, it felt like whoa, no, can't touch this. All right.
Yeah.
Part of it too is like you're watching it as a fan. And it's something we've all dreamed of, like you said, with action figures as a kid, boom, or even as an adult, boom. And you're playing them, and you're like,
right here.
What could they do that's different? You know, what could they do that's I would almost say innovative in the sense of like not only Vader, he splits her blade, and like it blows my mind when I watch that scene for that reason. It's like there's something so crazy about it. He just finished ripping a ship apart. Like
that's the thing. It's just
what in the world?
The ship down. Yeah, it's like wow. He's so good at it.
That was so insane. The way he especially the way he takes it off in 3 pieces. I don't know. There's something about that. It felt very Star Tours, but in a good way to me.
Yes.
You know, like when in Star Tours, the new one where he grabs onto you when it's the opening where Vader has you and stuff. It's like, oh yeah. Anyway.
Oh man.
No, you're right. Like, so fun. I mean, whoever thought we'd see Darth Vader holding 2 lightsaber blades, even for a split second? But like, absolutely brilliant.
And then hit the Ahsoka stance though. That was amazing. God, when he went, I'm like, this is wild. I can't believe what I'm watching. I agree though, dude, because that is a scene where like I stood up watching. Oh my God, like what are they doing right now? You know,
my neighbors, I'm in an apartment building and stuff. Like, I'm sure they were getting tired of hearing the F word screamed at the top of my lungs like every morning, but it was like 3 a.m. I apologize. I'm sure they rolled back over and went to bed, but anyway, no, the whole
Kenobi again. Yeah, this week.
Yeah, that's right. When Andor comes out, you never know. We could be getting some wild stuff on that show too.
It's gonna be insane.
I'm not ready.
That's a great answer though.
Adam, I now we're gonna focus all on you, and I know I know
all about you now.
It is all about you. Feel the pressure. No, there's no pressure here.
Yeah.
We have a series of questions that we had the chance to talk about and look at, and one of the first ones I want to kick off with, because this novel is filled with characters that are near and dear to a lot of our, I guess, even us in this chat and this whole thing's hearts, but to the overall lore of Star Wars hearts. Was there any of them that you were like really enjoyed writing for? Was there like one character you were like, oh my God, like I get the opportunity to say this to this person? Like,
there's a lot of fan favorites, but you also get to flesh out a lot of characters that were just either side characters or just mentioned in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. I mean, of them, Lando was probably the best one to write.
Yeah.
Because he's quite easy in a way, because it's Billy D. Williams, and Lando is such a strong personality in the original trilogy. And then when we see him a little bit in The Rise of Skywalker, and Billy D. Williams is just really fun. And although the character of Lando in Shadow of the Sith is slightly different because we've kind of moved on, however many years it is, 17 or 18 years from when we see him in Return of the Jedi. So he's different. His daughter's been kidnapped. There's a lot of things going on with him, which is also really cool because it meant that I could take a main character of Star Wars and actually develop them a little bit, which, you can't often do when you're writing this kind of, IP work. You have to take a character and kind of, you can play with them and then put it back in the box for the next person.
Right.
But because we're in this big period between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, and we know that stuff happened to Lando, he can be changed. And that's kind of part of the book. So he was really cool. And then he's only in a little bit, but Pride Enric Pride,
right,
who was Richard E. Grant in The Rise of Skywalker. Now I love Richard E. Grant, absolutely, and he's just got this. The character of Pride doesn't really do much in The Rise of Skywalker, but there's something about him, and you know that he's been there all the time. He's been in the background, like shouting at people and being mean, in that kind of in that very proper way, like scary British. Yeah. So I knew that I really wanted to put him in somehow because I love him, and I think, yeah, because he was in there somewhere. He's behind the scenes. He's doing stuff. So I knew a little bit of his history with the Empire. He was at the Battle of Endor. That was established in, I think, one of the reference books.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, go for it. And he's only in 2 chapters, and he's really nasty and unpleasant, like a horrible person, horrible. But those are the best kind. Those are the best kind of characters to write because, like, he's just so horrible and mean and arrogant and unpleasant, and like he meets Ochi of Bestoon. Ochi is his own kind of thing. Ochi is this kind of incredible narcissist who talks about himself in the third person when he gets drunk. And Pride is kind of similar in a way. So when they're together, you kind of get the impression that like neither of them are listening to what the other person's saying.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I mean, they do because there is interaction between them in the 2 chapters. But like, you put those 2 together, and like Pride just can't stand Ochi. Just the sight of him makes him sick. And then Ochi is like, "Who's this guy? Like, I'm doing important work, and this guy's in the way." So yeah, he was
2 different versions of a-hole, like coming together, like battling. And like, I loved the whole bit you had where like was he like let Ochi have a swig from his flask, his flask, and then like he just took it. Ochi just kept the flask.
And then he's drinking it later in the other chapter.
I love being inside his head and be like you should give me that damn thing back, man.
And of course, it's Pride. Like, it's a spoiler, but like Pride is what ultimately leads Ochi to the parents. Almost accidentally. So it's a small appearance, but it's important in the kind of the storyline.
Heck yeah. And it's
Which,
funny.
I mean,
we can talk.
If you want to get into a little bit of spoilers, I think you want to say that, Scotty. Like, you can.
Full
but,
spoilers here.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people who will be watching have seen the book. They've seen it in a store. They've seen the words. But if I may, like, so you mentioned Lando was one you really enjoyed writing for. I have to, if I can, dote upon you more. Honestly, it's the best I've ever seen Lando written. I've ever read Lando. Like, just you ended up like capturing, like you said, like you captured Lando's spirit, but moved him forward in a natural way. Like, it felt so natural. It's, to me, of all the, and I've read all the ones I've read Last Shot and all that kind of stuff, and it's all good, but this is like some of the best Lando that I've seen on the page. And so I have to give you that because
amazing.
That was just absolutely incredible. And again, I love Drunk Pride and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments in this book that obviously stood out to a lot of people. But one thing I wanted to ask you about too is, like, whenever you were watching The Rise of Skywalker and they mentioned the, idea of Luke and Lando going on an adventure, and they had been looking for Ochi of Bestoon, they had been looking for this ship. Now, I don't know how the logistics of this work, and feel free to avoid this answer if you have to. Do they approach you with this novel, or did you watch that scene in The Rise of Skywalker and go, "Ooh, I would love to write something about that"?
No, they approached me. So I remember when I saw The Rise of Skywalker, just coincidentally, the 2 things that struck me in that movie was that scene where because I was like, Luke and Lando, that's like a weird combination that we haven't seen very often. So that would be kind of interesting. Like, why were they that pair like searching for this thing? And then the other thing, and again coincidentally, was the fact that Miramir, Rey's mother, is played by Jodie Comer. Jodie Comer is one of my favorite actresses. She's in a show called Killing Eve, which I troll people on Twitter with Killing Eve gifs because there's a gif for every single possible reaction you can give to anybody. There's a gif from Killing Eve. So I was doing a lot of that when the book came out. So they just like, and those were the two big memories. I enjoyed the movie, and it's like, wow, but those two things. So I was doing, that was what, 2019 that it came out?
Yeah, 2019, December of 19, right before the pandemic.
Right, yeah.
Literally right before everything, yeah.
So I was doing, so a year later, I think, I got the call to do the Mandalorian novel, which then got cancelled.
Yeah.
But then, which is fine, but then it was like, well, we've got this other idea. If you want to do this instead, just have a think about it. And how about that thing where Lando says to Rey that he and Luke were chasing Ochi of Bestoon, who was looking for a wayfinder to get to Exegol? Like, how about you do that story? I was like, yeah, okay, sure.
Heck
like,
yeah.
And then I'm like,
guess.
wait, that's the backup book. That's like that's like, wow, okay, yeah, great, I'll do that. So
you want me to do this big like linchpin of a lot of things? Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay, sure. Give it a go.
Heck yeah.
But then, so that worked out fine. And then I remembered, it's like, wow, yeah, because that was the bit in the movie I was like, what's going on? Luke and Lando on this mission. And then I get to write it. And I think also because nobody really knew what the story was.
Right.
So really, I have done tie-ins before. I've done Elementary, Dishonored, Stranger Things, Star Wars short stories, a comic. So like I have experience, which is good because they could then trust me to like, well, this is the thing. Just take that scene and write the book. That's all the guidance we've got for you. They knew that I could go and build the story, and I did. And it's a huge book. It's like 150,000 words. They were really surprised. It's like, oh yeah, we don't know what the story is. And then I hand in the manuscript. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, 500 pages.
Wow.
But yeah, so I think that's that tends to be how it works. Yeah, you don't call them, they call you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful, right? Because you could have easily been like, oh my God, what? And a lot of people, and this is just people that we surround ourselves with, have considered this to, like Gerry said earlier, like one of the best companion books to a movie. And like people, for some reason, now I don't see it this way. I know most people that are viewing this right now don't see it this way, but like some people have the tendency to believe that the novelization or the companion book are making the movies better, and that's not fair. The movie should always be good. But like when you have a movie like Rise of Skywalker, and I think we all could admit it, like that beginning of that movie, super fast, boom, boom, and they're going from point to point to point to point.
Some of the craziest editing I've seen in a Star Wars. If I'm being honest, and
I love it.
Still love it.
I love it for that reason. But this book allowed me to digest that story in a different way and allowed me to even interpret some of the events, especially with Rey's parents. Like, oh my God, like they weren't just, because the movie almost writes it off as, yeah, he's a strand cast of this person. That's it, and they got caught and they're trying to leave and escape. Like it's so much deeper than that. The fact that we get to hear more about, just what they had to endure to get there. And the fact that Luke wasn't really looking for Ochi of Bestoon, and they were looking for these two people that were, on the run.
Right. It ties it all together so beautifully. And also I'll say, like you say, you're talking about how it was long and everything. Like it doesn't, this is the fastest long book I've seriously, it picks up and it never lets up in the best way. There's no wasted space. At all, and it all feels meaningful and it feels exciting, and I think that was what struck a lot of people, was especially from the opening scene with Dathan and Miramir and young Rey, which I'm a father of a 5-year-old girl, so I'm just saying, listening to the audiobook in the car, I'm in tears over a lot of this kind of stuff. So thank you for breaking my spirit, but in the best way. But yeah, no, I've heard so many people talk about, how that's just like some of the most exciting Star Wars writing they've heard in forever. Like, especially that scene at the beginning, it feels
amazing. Yeah.
You're watching the movie, like you're watching, you can see it in your mind's eye 100%. So,
and that's kind of what I really wanted to do episode 6.5, because I knew this book was like right in the middle of that big period between trilogies, which has been explored a little bit in comics. It's like a book, Bloodlines, a little bit here and there, but like not really very much. So I could therefore go for broke. You know, I had that kind of freedom to really do something expensive and cinematic and visual as well, because I thought, well, if I'm a Star Wars fan and I want to see episode 6.5, what do I want to see? Like whether it's a book or a movie, what I want. So that's kind of what I put in.
That's beautiful.
So, but again, knowing that I had that freedom, not every book can do that. Some books are, you know, very like one character because you're telling this backstory, or there's like one adventure that they've got to slot in, which is fine because, you know, that's how it all works. But this one is like, it's just open. So, and especially with Rise of Skywalker, like, well, Pride is an example. Like, Pride was there all the time, but we didn't see him. There's a lot of things in Rise of Skywalker that you could go backwards from. You know, why did Rey recognize Ochi's ship leaving Jakku if she had been left there? Like, why would Ochi be there? Little bits and pieces. The whole thing with, Dathan, Rey's father, being a Strand class clone of Palpatine. Palpatine's whole thing of building the kind of the Final Order, which again was going on for decades.
Yes,
you know, that
like,
really goes back
after
to
Revenge of the Sith, it feels like. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he did, because in the Vader comic by Greg Pak, so
love that.
Yeah, that's set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, where Vader and Ochi visit Exegol, and they're building the Final Order, because you can't build, I don't know how many Star Destroyers there were, like in the gap between you know, Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. It was going on for 30 years. So that's just so much material that I could use and kind of build on.
Yeah.
Which, you know, made for a good book. And like, I wasn't trying to explain stuff in Rise of Skywalker. I was just expanding what was already there, in a way that kind of made it all fit together.
Yep. And that's the hardest part, right? Is like, you know, Star Wars has done a really, really good job, I would say, obviously since the acquisition from Disney, to make sure everything was canonically, you know, sound and stuff. And one of the more interesting things too is the fact that, like, you brought back the Lady Luck, like that, like I wouldn't say you brought it back, but you know what I mean? Like Talon Card, Heir to the Empire, like this whole novel felt like it was from the EU, because it was in the way like of yeah, we can do that, we can go here, you know, like you read Heir to the Empire for that first time. I don't know if you read it in, you know, 1991, but like that novel was like wild. And of course the Lady Luck, and you've got so many wild things in that book, and this book kind of does promise on that same, like, this is kind of feels like a early 90s book. It just like it's we're acknowledging things that have already came to be, but like we can still kind of get like, Gerry, what was the name of that place you wanted to bring up? Because you
okay, listen, so I think I tweeted this too, but like, you have created one of the single coolest Star Wars location names I've heard since. Like, again, I don't keep wanting to call it the Disney, but in this new era, the Twilight Forest of Hypercarn is somehow beautiful and the most metal name I've heard in my entire life, and I love it. So
yeah, that's actually a really good description. That's what I was going for.
Yeah,
well, yeah, you
fantasy
hit
metal.
It.
Yeah,
right. It seriously, it feels like Lord of the Rings, like with,
and it's just,
you know,
well, it's one of those things that the name just like
shredding
Hypercarn
in the background, you know,
Hypercarn.
like, Hypercarn,
So...
such a great word. But just the whole thing, like the Twilight. And I know Hypercarn's like the planet, but like the Twilight Forest of Hypercarn, just like that sounds like the best prog rock album like you could ever get. Like, for real, it does. And so it's kudos to that. Like, that's
thank you.
I love that thing. I will sing the praises of the Twilight Forest of Hypercarn. Can't wait to go there someday. So, you know.
Oh,
that's
man.
nice. Yeah,
it does sound. It's a very visual name within you know, and like
it adds some mysticism even to Rey's mother. I feel like, even though I know it's not, like, I know it's just a place and everything, but it just kind of adds like a layer of depth. Like, ooh, that sounds interesting. I want to know more. Kind of a thing. Absolutely. And
that's you know, obviously you are a writer. That's the goal of your work, right? Is to build interest. And trust me, if we try to write Star Wars novels, it wouldn't be anywhere near this book. But like, we all have these opportunities to fantasize and, you know, have favorites on certain things. But like, were there any like bits of storytelling that you were like, maybe inspired by to bring certain things in? Because I mean, I didn't even get a chance to ask you this. Did you read all those, EU books growing up? Was that something that you were like also involved in?
Not until later. I mean,
Okay.
really, yeah, because in like New Zealand, I don't really remember the expanded universe at all. I was really into Doctor Who, so I was more, especially in the 90s, which coincides with the time of the expanded universe books. There was the Doctor Who New Adventures from Virgin Publishing, so I was really kind of focused on those. I always wanted to write a Doctor Who book, which is how I got into writing in the first place. It's like I want to write Doctor Who stories. So yeah, the Star Wars thing, I'm looking over here because I've got the whole shelf of them, but like that was what I came to later. But like I mean, when I was doing Shadow of the Sith, any time that I referenced something or pulled something forward or used or reused, I did it because the story required it. Like there was a feeling of something present. Like so, I didn't have a checklist of like, oh, I'm going to mention the Air Adventure. I'm going to mention Nefertari. I'm going to, it's like Lando is thinking about the famous gambling halls of the galaxy, so he's going to think of the Air Adventure. Nefertari is this planet which was abandoned by smugglers because it was useless. So therefore, it's a great place to hide stuff. So they bury Dathan and Miramir there. So everything that like happened that I brought in as a reference, like absolutely fun, not denying it, didn't have fun, like going, oh, I'm going to put in this and put in this. But it was there for like a reason, because like Star Wars to me is like one big thing. So whether it's movies, TV, animated books, comics, video games, I've got a video game character, Shiv Sergei and is in the book.
Great moment.
Yeah. Or even like, I referenced like the 1978 Los Angeles Times newspaper comics. Because I really love reading them. And I was reading them, I was like, that's a cool name for a drink. So I'll have Lando order some Red Dwarves.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah. And then the bartender, Lady Sennifer, like literally says the line out of the thing, like, sip them slow, you'll live longer. Which is from the panel in the comic.
That is like, so cool.
Now, that is absolutely Star Wars nerdery fun.
Right.
And that's the thing with all these things. Every time I've written, because I'm a fan of stuff, so you put in stuff. If you see it and get it, that's great. You go, oh, that's cool, that's fun. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't impact the story. Everything you need to know about Shadow of the Sith is inside Shadow of the Sith. That's the same with all my tie-ins. If you recognize something and then you want to go and explore further, great. You want to go and read Dark Legends by George Mann? Yep, amazing. You'll learn about Darth Noctis and his or her blade, things like that. You want to read the Aftermath trilogy and learn about Kaiser and the Acolytes of the Beyond. Great. You don't have to because it's all in the book. So it's like it's a combination of like I'm doing a job to tell a story that people can enjoy, while I'm a fan, so I'm writing for fans. So I am putting stuff in that I kind of like get a buzz out of as well. But yeah, it's like thank you very much. The fact that a few people have said that it's like a kind of EU novel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Sure.
in like the best way, like of course this is canon and everything. But like you're saying like you've got the fun references and everything, which again, like I think we sometimes forget Star Wars is fun. At its very core, like it's made. George, I love George famously said that Celebration a few years ago, I made this for 12-year-olds, kind of a thing. But like those books kind of continue, like you even have like I think a reference to there's hot chocolate in this as well, which is something that so many fans were like hot chocolate in Star Wars, kind of a thing. But like it's a fun reference. It's a reference to the Zahn trilogy and stuff, And
there's also there's a cognac from. I think it's Mike Stackpole's X-Wing books.
Right.
Yep.
That's
and again, I'm like, Star Wars is fun. Like cognac is named after a place in France. So how can there be cognac in Star Wars? Because there's no France in Star Wars. So I'm thinking, and that when I was younger, I was one of those, that's kind of stupid. Why would there be cognac? But now I'm thinking like, well, there's like a planet called Cognac.
Yeah.
Which is where it comes from.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. Why
there
not?
are ways to make
Falcons in Star Wars. Why we have the Millennium Falcon? So many things like that. Yeah.
exactly.
Or the famous one, we did this one of our episodes, ducks. There was on Naboo. There's a thing called a duck, and it's like
we did a Wikipedia episode. There's an entry on ducks. There is an entry on ducks.
There's an entry on
It's the
ducks.
best. Yeah.
That's awesome. Jerry, you had a question about a gulp shido. Now, I'm sure since Adam is a Star Wars, he might know what that is.
So we like Ochi is essentially a gulp shido, which and like we all know, if you're watching the show, I think you know what a gulp shido is. It's a character that your mom and dad aren't going to know who they are. That your parents, whoever your cousin isn't going to know. If there's like, oh, I like Star Wars, they don't know who Ochi Abastoon is. They don't remember him. He was the Bones. In fact, I had to explain it. He's the Bones in Rise of Skywalker that you've seen maybe twice because it came out in 2019. But like so we love gulp shidos. I think that Ochi has been fleshed out amazingly in the comics. He's got a lot of really good stuff, and I think that you did a lot of really cool stuff with him. But who is your favorite gulp shido? Do you have a gulp shido beside, like, I don't know if Ochi is your gulp shido. Do you have a favorite gulp shido, and were they in this book? Like, who's yours?
Who's your gulp shido? It sounds so endearing.
Yeah, good question. I don't know if Beaumont Kin counts.
Oh yeah,
I think he does.
Yeah,
I could go ask my parents who Beaumont Kin is right now, and they would say, "I don't know. Did you go to high school with him?" Like.
Yeah, is he even credited as that in the Rise of Skywalker? I don't know.
I think it's just in the visual dictionary, frankly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had him in because, again, not because I wanted to include a character from Rise of Skywalker, although that was good, because if this book is related to that movie, then yes, use some of it. But again, like, it was logical if Luke goes to an archaeological dig. And we know that Beaumont Kin is into the Sith by the time we see him in Rise of Skywalker. There was a point at which he became interested. So what if that was actually a meeting with Luke Skywalker, where he had this kind of eyewitness experience of the Sith and what they can do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's kind of like, he's fun.
Yeah, he's definitely a fun character.
Nice guy.
It was cool to see.
I love Dominic Monaghan as well, the actor. I've ever since, like, of course, Lord of the Rings, but also I was a big Lost fan back in the day. Yeah. So
like, it's cool to see, like, Lord Santeca, who is some people's gulp shido as well.
Yep.
Fantastic. And you have that whole interaction there, at the archaeological dig, which also, for me, I'm a science teacher, and like, anytime you get to look at history or the history of culture or any sort of anthropology, like, that was just a cool moment. That's something I never expected in a Star Wars. Like, yeah, kind of give us that, ancient feeling, Indiana Jones kind of feeling.
I was gonna say, it was a little indie. It was a little indie, like in the middle of Star Wars. It felt great.
And it's funny because also, if I pronounce his name correctly, Eric von Sydow.
Oh yeah.
He plays Lord Santeca in Force Awakens. He plays an archaeologist, I think, in The Exorcist.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's coincidental where he uncovers the demon. Is it Pazuzu or something else? I can't remember. Like, they uncover the demon in the archaeological dig, which then leads to The Exorcist. So it's like, in Star Wars, he's also an archaeological dig where an evil is unleashed. That's typecasting, I guess.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool tie-in in that way. I like that. That's clever.
Brilliant.
I didn't know. I actually had no idea when I wrote it, and I got a comment and it had a little in the manuscript with a little screenshot from The Exorcist going, "This guy can't get away from unleashing demons at archaeological."
That's amazing. Wow, that's really funny. That's so subtle. And
Lord Santeca, frankly, has been a little. I think he's still underutilized and stuff, because, like, you had that one thing. I think it was in the Visual Dictionary of Force Awakens where they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, he's basically an Indiana Jones, and he's the Indiana Jones of Star Wars. He's like an adventurer."
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
the Church.
More,
of the
please.
Well,
right.
The whole thing, which, it's
so
like I get a little bit in Shadow, there's a little bit in Rogue One, sort of.
Right.
And the what's it called? The Rise of Kylo Ren comic by Charles Soule.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I
like just such an underutilized character. I love it. And I know they're kind of pulling, like, his distant relatives are in the High Republic a lot and everything, which is really cool. But anyway, I loved him. So
I think I could speak on Jerry's behalf for this part too, because this is one of the things I've been thinking about a lot. Like you said, your favorite Star Wars name or location was the Twilight Forest, the Hypercar. Like that's very visual, right? And as a novelist and as an author, I know obviously part of this is to paint the picture in your head for something that's visually beautiful. And one thing that like really stood out to me, and I gotta say, this is something I hope we see obviously on the screen one day, but when they showed the speeder bikes, or I guess in my brain when I saw them, speeder bikes going over the water, I mean, like that was so freaking cool. Because like as a kid, like fun. You know, like you said, you're imagining things like what would be visually stimulating, and like to think about the water, you know, maybe going off the bottom of them and doing that. What was that like? Like, was there any other visual things that you were like, I want to introduce this in Star Wars? Because the speeder bikes over the water was like something I never knew I needed to see in my mind's eye. Was there something like that for you?
So beautiful.
Yeah, it's like that was really this visual thing I was trying to go for, and especially on that planet. I think it's called Tyrannotia Minor. Like the geology being kind of multicolored stripes of rock.
Yep.
Right.
With the river sort of carving into it. Yeah, because it's visual. Because I thought that would look really cool. And then the planet Polar, which is kind of this white grassland.
Oh, so cool.
It's like it's frozen. It's not frozen. It's actually it's living, sort of, but it's poisoned by radiation, and everything's kind of white. Again, there's kind of like visual things that just kind of came to me because Star Wars is visual and spectacular. Star Wars is spectacular. Like whether it's a huge space battle or it's one character with a really cool mask that you really want the action figure for.
Yeah.
It's like from the big to the tiny. It's like the Star Wars is always surprising, and the best Star Wars, you're like going, what is that? I need to know more. So definitely for planetary locations, and also being this is like it's a chase book, so like they go from place to place. So there has to be a difference and a reason for them going there. So there's the Tyrannotia Minor. There's also like the Tower Provode fuel dump, which is kind of very metal and concrete and dark and industrial. And then Polar, which is just like plains of grass. Very distinct visually in the mind of the reader, distinct places. Because also I do write visually, like one of those writers, and not every writer's different, but I definitely am the kind that sees what's going on. Like I'm transcribing the movie in my head, kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah.
All writers are different. Some don't do that visually at all. But I'm like that. I'm just trying to type fast enough that I can keep up with what's going on.
In your head, yeah.
And of course, the amazing thing, and this is why I'm a writer in the first place, is like every single person who reads Shadow of the Sith will see something different, completely different to what I've seen in my mind, which is amazing. Which is like that's the whole magic of writing in the first place. But to think that if this book is so visual and cinematic, and yet every single person is seeing a different movie in their head when they read it, which is just incredible. And it's all Star Wars. We're Star Wars fans. We know what Star Wars looks like and feels like, sounds like. I mean, sound is such an important thing as well. Just like I'm lucky to be doing this. Really,
beautifully stated.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because
you mentioned that the masks and action figures, and I'll say I've never heard masks, the coolest masks described in a book and gone like that's a cool anyway, that's just like the mirror masks, from the mirror masks with the writing on them to X and Panchards, like Sith mask as well.
You have to also like I mean I've got like what's behind me, Stormtrooper and a like you got to avoid like it's a respirator with like eye things, or like you've got to there's a design aesthetic to Star Wars which continues in the sequel trilogy and goes back to the prequel trilogy, which is very Star Wars, and like I'm not quite sure actually what it is, but like if you see even basic stuff like the First Order Stormtroopers, it looks like Star Wars. And then when you get to the more strange stuff, like, for example, Flame Troopers or Rocket Troopers, with the kind of weird masks, they're weird and they're new. We haven't seen them before, but they're still Star Wars.
Right.
And, like, I love the kind of arms and armor of Star Wars. So try and come up with stuff that was fitting the aesthetic. I mean, I'm not a designer at all, and I'm always in awe when I watch behind the scenes stuff of whether it's the movies or TV, that the people that can design, I've got all the, looking again in my bookshelf, all the art books.
Oh, I love the art books by Phil Spozak. Oh my god,
all the concept art,
the
and stuff,
greatest.
going through them, and definitely get inspiration actually from those as well.
Yeah.
Well, like, so the mirror mask, is that at all a reference to like THX 1138? I'm just wondering. I don't know.
No, it's not.
Oh no, sorry.
It's not. Some people have said there's Ren from Knights of Ren, because he has like a mirror mask.
Yeah, he has like
it's kind of it's a similar thing, but it was just this protective gear.
Yeah,
and she just happened to write a kind of prayer of protection across the front of it.
It just sounds so cool.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I just pictured like something like no eyes, no form of anything, and like just like that. To me, that's very Star Wars too. Is when you have a character and it's like, how do they see out of that? But it's like that's the magic and the technology of it anyway. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I love the way that I could actually, and this is where it's like maybe it's a personal thing. I'm going to get a buzz out of it. Like I watched The Rise of Skywalker the other week before I went to San Diego, and Lando was wearing Comat's helmet.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker. It's like, I did that. I directly did that. But Comat's helmet. Because she's a Wind Rider of Teleran, and she wears that when they go on their adventure with Lando. They kind of split up, and then at the end, he's like, "Can I borrow your armor?" And she's like, "You can have it." Which is like, that's neat. I think
it's neat.
Yeah.
That's the privilege of, you've obviously put a lot of work into what you've been doing, and you're obviously this novel speaks for itself. It's one of the what I consider one of the best ones I've read in a long time, or listened to as well. Like there's something to that, and I know it's weird to like probably have fans or people like us tell you that because this is part of your life experience, but like this adds to what we love in this franchise on a much deeper level. And I want to thank you for that. Just because it means a lot to me personally, And one thing I did want to ask, because we're going to wrap up in the next few minutes, any desire to write more of these characters? Is there something like deep within you that are like, I would like to write more for, and by the way you wrote Luke was exactly how I've always wanted to hear Luke. It was what we promised.
Meeting of Luke and Lando, though.
Oh my god,
that was like, that's like, I could see it. I could see, like you said, like that's a pairing you don't see, but it's like, to see them being friends, was like, you're like, oh yeah, they're friends too. It was really, really cool. It felt natural, and it was beautiful.
I think I do. I like Comat and KB68.
Yes,
but like. This is the thing about Star Wars or any licensed stuff. Like I created those characters, but they're not mine. Mm-hmm. So even if someone else, if they appeared in something, like Mandalorian, a Book of Boba Fett, we've had things like Cobb Vanth, who's from the Aftermath trilogy.
Of course,
right.
Characters that other people have created that have then appeared, like that would be amazing, because then that what you've created has taken on a life of its own.
Yep.
As much as I would love to write Comat and KB68, if they appeared somewhere else and someone else did them, that would be amazing because they've come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that because
Absolutely.
you obviously have poured your heart into this novel, and I don't want to speak on your behalf, but like, I don't know how long it took to write this one either, but like when I read it, I'm like, this is just such a detailed and full of fine tuning, and like, obviously books go through several edits, but like, I don't know, I'm attached to this book. Like there is something there to it, and I know the same could be said for you because it's something you're passionate about, and it's beautiful. I love that. And also, I hated hearing Ochi beat up Dio the whole time. That hurt.
Oh man.
So because the audiobook does it really well. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the audiobook, but it's like you're like, oh my god, please stop being an asshole. Like
stop. Yeah.
You're such an
Don't
asshole.
kick it. Stop it.
He's like, Master, sorry, Master.
I think I yelled. I think I screamed in the car when he picks him up and throws him.
Yeah.
I was like, stop. And I love Ochi. Like, I love to hate him.
Yeah.
Like, he's my favorite asshole.
That's the thing. Like when Rey finds Dio, she's like, someone treated you badly.
Yes.
So yeah,
like really badly.
yeah.
You absolutely showed why, and oh man, I wanted to reach through the pages and strangle the man, right then and
It's
there.
like,
So,
yeah, and then also it's kind of sad because when Luke and Lando go to Ochi's ship and Lando finds Dio, but he's like, oh, it's just kind of weird novelty droid, and like he can't find the charger, so he just like leaves it.
yeah, I know. I'm like taking.
sad fate.
But
Yeah.
it's so cool because then but then it's funny, like it's an unspoken thing, but like whenever Rey finds him and Rey fixes him, and it's like it's just adds so much to her character.
How involved he was
Mm.
technically, like on maybe on the wrong side, but you know,
Yep.
not to his
Yeah.
fault, you know.
Nope.
But yeah, how connected they are now
Ah,
and everything.
brilliant.
It's just beautiful.
God. Well, Gerry, do you have any other last questions you want to ask Adam before we call this thing out?
Well, I mean, nothing really off the top of my head. Just like again, you know, Scotty, like you're saying, this book has just been one of my favorite ones that again has come out. And to get the thing that got me though was to go immediately from Kenobi into this book.
Yeah.
It's one of the most fun times I've had being a Star Wars fan in a while. Like since maybe like The Force Awakens, like it's just like it felt like I coming off the high of watching Obi-Wan and everything, and I've loved everything that's come out, but like there was just something about that 1-2 punch of Obi-Wan and then getting this book as well that just really like I was just living, like I was excited like I hadn't been in like in a little bit, you know. Again, like I'm excited when anything comes out, but this stuff just like really like spoke to what I love about Star Wars and stuff. And so yeah, just thank you for that. And then also man, congratulations, way to go on getting to write this thing, because it's fantastic. So,
Very much.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I don't know if you have anything you want to plug, anything you want to bring up before we close it out, and just thank you for being on the Bombadcast, man. I'm glad you could hang. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, people can find me on Twitter as Ghostfinder. That's kind of where I hang out, and yeah, thank you so much for having me on. That was
It is our pleasure, and this has been a wonderful interview with Adam Christopher. We're gonna play another Tim video just because.
Well, I was gonna say, stay tuned for Shortland Street clip coming up, everybody.
Oh yes, absolutely.
You know, just saying.
Does the plugging for us. Oh, this is great. Well, Adam, I don't know if you have to go. I'm gonna click the stop recording in a minute, but I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being on the Bombadcast. And Adam, we do this with every guest. Our catchphrase in the show is "Stay Bombad." Can we get a good "Stay Bombad" from you?
You want me to say "Stay Bombad"? Stay Bombad.
That's right. Thanks, dude.
Kia ora, welcome to the Tim Show. I'm Tim Witter Morrison. Now, each week I invite a couple of buddies over to have a bit of a kōrero. We have a bit of a sing-song, and I show them some of my postcards from Hollywood. Ooh, and they're looking pretty flash too. I visit the whānau in New Zealand and around the globe, and I even score some A-listers. Now, this week we've got a Tim Show special. Episode 3, Involvement of the Kiwis. I'm talking Star Wars. We find out how they make us clones. And I catch up with Rena Owen and talk to the producer, Rick McCullum, and talk to the big guy, George Lucas. So, lightsabers on!
We hope you enjoyed the interview. I sure did.
Yeah.
I sure did. That was fun.
That such a fantastic, just sweet guy.
God, I was blown away by that. I hadn't looked up anything else he had done prior to this.
Yeah.
Like I never looked up an interview with him, and I had no idea, for the most part, that he was from New Zealand. And I mean that. I had no idea, no clue.
I mean, I didn't either, and I mean, like I should have, like, you know, the accent and everything. But, no. Like you spent a little bit of time with us out at the tables by the pool at Celebration.
Yeah.
Everything, but I saw him walk by a couple of times.
Oh, did you really?
A couple of times. Yeah. We never got to like say anything, but like I think he and Kristen Baver like walked by one time, and I was like,
oh, that's awesome.
That's Adam Christopher. Like I remember like seeing, but anyway, I'm still just trying to figure out how Tamira Morrison did those effects. You know, like did he have ILM help him with those clones? I'm still trying to figure that out. But anyway.
Oh, I love it. That was a fun discussion. I hope everyone got a chance to listen and enjoy it. I know fans of the book probably really enjoyed it. I love the part where we talked about this, the speeder going across the water. That was one thing that was a highlight. Like, paint us a visual. We haven't seen the white grass on that planet. Like, that was, man, that was a great discussion. I really enjoyed every second of it. I think it's a good book too.
It's absolutely a great book. And just, to cap everything off, probably, let us know in the comments, if you're still with us here. What do you think is Tamira Morrison's favorite section of the newspaper? Is he a sports guy? He strikes me like he could be a sports guy, but like also I think he could go right to the Sunday comics.
I agree. So, I don't know.
I think he's a Sunday comics guy. I feel like he'd be like, "Oh, I got to see what that Beetle Bailey's up to this week."
What do you think? Do you think that where is he supposed to be? Is it Guatemala? Is it Guatemala? No,
you're not in Guatemala anymore. Yeah.
Where do you think he's at?
Ropata.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
You're not in
Ropata. Excuse me.
Ropata. Oh
Ropata.
Man, that story when he was like, yeah, the Attack of the Clones screen we went to, they were screaming that line.
Dude,
I'm like, what a meme. What an insane meme.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
What the fuck?
It's like the freaking. It's like the. It's like the freaking Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes,
sounds like I want to watch the Phantom Menace with a Kiwi audience now.
Oh,
I
it's
want
amazing.
to watch it in New Zealand so bad.
Well, we really do
probably
hope
fit the entire population of New Zealand in a theater.
100%.
Anyway,
that and Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. That must have made him a prideful country. I would have. That would have made me very happy. That was a great. Those are great movies.
They're so humble still. They're like they are, but they're so laid back.
Yes,
everything. Like, oh, okay, yeah, like.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Anyway,
yeah, Adam Christopher, thank you so much for allowing
Thank you,
for allowing your time to be spent on Bombadcast, because I thought it was brilliant.
We really do appreciate it.
We really do appreciate it. And also, this gives us an opportunity. Jerry and I usually don't have that much time to talk on the phone like we used to, because we've gotten busy. School starting, things are, it's funny. In the summer, I feel more busy because I'm not doing set things than now when my brain's like in a hyperactive state, because it just is like school starting, Podathon being planned. I'm in a planning mood now. So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's something to that.
You're the logistics guy.
There is something to that.
You are really into the logistics and
I love it.
Let's get this thing done. Yeah.
In the can. So I'm not going to review anything, but we do plan on having a fun episode next week talking about fortune cookies of the Force. So that is going to be brought back.
Old time Bombcast. Yeah. If you followed us from here to Beyond the Blast Stores.
Oh yeah.
And back to here. Fortune Cookies of the Force has been done a couple of times. We're bringing that back. I have been saving up. I've got a Death Star jar full.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's going to be a great time.
I'll get some Chinese food that night too. That being said,
both of us should just get like Chinese food, eat it on air.
I'm so down. I love doing that kind of stuff.
Venmo us. No, no. patrons, if you want. No.
Send us your money, patrons.
In the chat here.
Come on, boys. Send us your money.
You're not in Guatemala anymore.
More, Dr. Ropata.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
Ropata? Oh, man. Yeah. So let's look forward to next week. I do want to play this clip of James Brown just because I'm feeling it. Can I play that clip?
Please. Let's get the soul here. Come on.
Jam.
Living in America. There's nothing wrong. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm out on love. Out on love. Alone from night to night, you find me.
Concerned about that?
No, Dankeschön. I'm concerned because there's nothing wrong.
And what are you going to say to your fans when they ask you some?
I'm going to say I feel good. Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a man's world.
What you're going to be doing on this tour?
Jam.
Source, there you are.
And we'll be doing a lot of good things, and hopefully we'll get Brother Ted Turner on the cover. Ted, where you at? Hasta luego.
I just love that he's summoning Ted Turner. There is something so
of all people,
he's gotta be so
Ted
stoned.
Turner.
He's like, well, yeah, Ted. I just love my favorite.
Ted.
My favorite is Jam. It's like so enunciated and like strong. It's like all in the front of your mouth. Jam. It's like amazing.
I just like
and
the
then
cut off scream that, oh,
and then the downward smile. I can't even do it. He's like, I can't even do the downward smile. How does he do that? He's like
brilliant. James Brown.
I just love that face.
Such
Jam. Where you at, Ted?
Such a beautiful soul, that man.
God. And then the part where he speaks Spanish out of nowhere is he's like, and it's like so fast. Hasta luego. And it cuts.
Hasta luego. Yeah.
Oh man. Jay, this has been a blast. I'm glad everyone can take a second and enjoy this episode. I don't know you want to wrap this up. Who wants to wrap this up? I'm curious. Who wants to do what?
I don't know. Like, do we want to duet it?
Ooh, let's do it.
Let's duet.
Ways
that make us feel good.
We're
gonna get a copyright strike.
No. Let's plug
underrated
one more thing.
comedy.
Jay, tell us about this real quick if you don't mind. It's your episode,
please. Yes, the one, the only Alden Diaz.
What a
he
great
will
guy.
be talking to Mr. Ryan Johnson again. It's pre-recorded, so he's already talked to Ryan Johnson. This man has touched the hem of the garment, and I am going to try to touch his beanie that night. No, I might even wear my own beanie. Who knows?
Oh man!
But it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a good time. I think I think I'm gonna just keep it like I might text Alden and be like, hey, do you have something you want to talk about? But I think we're gonna we might just freestyle
Star Wars.
because
Let's talk Star Wars too.
Well, Alden is a great person to freestyle conversation with. I'll just say, like, the man is a catalog of many things.
Yeah.
That's why he owns iHeartRadio.
Pretty much, he's the owner.
Yeah.
I want to play that clip one more
operator.
time.
Yeah.
For those that do not know, Ryan Johnson is on Podathon.
Ryan
Check
Johnson,
this out.
ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, this is Ryan Johnson. Join us for Podathon 2022. It benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's on September 17th. I'm going to be on there with Octu Radio at 8 p.m. And you can donate now at thepodathon.com. Do it.
Yeah. See? Exactly.
You will click the donation link now.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be clipped out and dropped everywhere. Yeah.
A truly spectacular interview, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's so good.
He's such a sweetheart of a guy.
I know. You know what? I realized we made
just so nice.
We made a mistake with
everyone
Adam
says about him.
We made a mistake with Adam Christopher.
What's that?
We did not play the Paul Stanley Folgers video, so next time he's on, we gotta
have him on.
Gotta play it.
You just gotta Adam, follow us. Let's become best friends so we can have you back on the show. Like, come on.
Jerry, would you do the honors of giving us a good stay Bombad before we play a classic hit tune?
Sure. You know what, guys? It's a great time to come here before the altar of Bombad to share with one another our love of books, our love of comics, our love of a weird, wacky universe.
Expensive drinks.
Where of expensive drinks with beluga caviar. In an icy cup. Yes. Guys, it's a good time to stay Bombad. Stay Bombad.
Did you say impossible? Pasquale? Only kidding, Chucky. I've changed my tune because I finally thought of a possible dream that we can all share. What is it?
Pasquale?
It's a dream about a world when nobody is poor or sick or hungry.
Oh, now that's a dream we can make come true.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right.
As I point up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind.
I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A soundless disregard, a broken bottle top,
and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the window
ain't gone for long. See you in a little bit.
Jared lost